This is a Fox News alert. Nashville police releasing body cam footage of the heroic officers who took down the transgender school shooter who killed 6, including 3 9-year-old children.
And this morning, we're learning more about the victims who put their lives on the line to protect others.
Todd Piro joins us now with details. Todd.
So many layers here, some heroic, some heartbreaking. Getting a look at what those 2 brave officers experienced while confronting 28-year-old shooter Audrey Hale. Officers Rex Engelbert and Michael Colazzo racing into the school with guns drawn after being shot at as they arrived on scene. They moved through several hallways and classrooms before locating the shooter and putting an end to the rampage that killed 3 9-year-olds and 3 faculty members. And we're learning more about the life-saving efforts of the victims themselves, including the head of Covenant School, Catherine Kuntz, former FBI special agent, telling Fox exclusively, quote, Catherine Kuntz was on a Zoom call when she heard the first shot. She immediately ended that call, got up, and headed straight for the shooter. She did what principals and headmasters do. She protected her children. And one brave little 9-year-old, Evelyn Dickhouse, losing her life while trying to pull the fire alarm to alert and save her classmates. Look at that beautiful little girl. Amazing. We're also learning substitute teacher Cynthia Peake was close friends with Tennessee Governor Bill Lee's wife, Maria.
Parents woke up without children, and children woke up without parents, without teachers. Maria woke up this morning without one of her best friends, Cindy Peake. Cindy was supposed to come over to have dinner with Maria last night after she filled in as a substitute teacher yesterday at Covenant. I'm calling on the people of Tennessee today to pray.
More details now being released about Hale, who police say was being treated for an emotional disorder. Hale also owned several guns and hid the weapons from her parents.
We were able to talk to the parents of Audrey Hale, and we found that she had purchased 7 firearms from 5 local gun stores here in the Middle Tennessee area. They were all legally purchased. 3 of those guns were actually used in yesterday's murders of the 6 victims.
The heartbroken people of Nashville now banding together. The Nashville Predators hockey team wearing helmets with the Covenant School logo at their game last night in Boston. You can see the little logo there, side of the screen, and there it is right there. A moment of silence also held at TD Garden in Boston. A citywide candlelight vigil will be held tonight in Nashville in honor of the 6 victims. Back to you.
All right, Todd, thank you very much. Meanwhile, also tonight, Nashville will honor the victims of the Covenant School shooting during a citywide vigil, as Todd just mentioned.
And Lawrence Jones joins us now from the scene. Lawrence?
Hey, good morning, family. I'm so glad that we are finally honoring the life and legacy and telling the stories of the victims here. The headmaster taking on gunfire, trying to protect her students, the young girl that pulled the fire alarm. I guess I'm getting a little concerned when you look at some of the media reports that they're focusing on more of the suspect that did this instead of the victims here, and it's almost reversing who the real victim is because they don't want generalities. I mean, we as Americans, we know not to judge all groups of people by one person's act. I just think we should be focusing on them a little bit more, though.
Lawrence, do you have a timeline of, we know that the headmaster was killed, we know the custodian was killed, a substitute teacher, the children. Did this shooter, do you know who was shot first, how they were shot, why they were shot?
So we're hoping to find a little bit more about that when they release the manifesto as well. I do know that the janitor, based on the reports and some of the stuff that we've gotten from our sources, that the janitor most likely was the first one that the suspect engaged with in the church side of the building. So again, that's why I think it's so critical to release that manifesto so we can understand the motive and why. It's clear that the church was a target here. So, I mean, I understand with preserving an investigation, but the suspect is dead. There's no prosecution that's going to happen. I think the public deserves to know exactly why the church was the target, and perhaps why did she go after the pastor's daughter? I mean, right. There are some instances where it happens to be a coincidence, But I mean, there's a lot of coincidences in this case.
Well, and you've got to figure that since there has been news that this person was being treated by a doctor for an emotional disorder, they're probably talking to the doctor, trying to figure out what was going on in that person's head at the time. Lawrence, I just got a note from a New York City police officer, and he points out, we know that this person, Audrey Hale, bought 7 firearms legally from 5 different gun stores. But do we have any idea where she got instruction in firearm training?
We don't know that. I mean, honestly, you know, there's no real requirement of the training. I mean, if you're going to conceal the weapon, then you have to go through a process for that. But as far as just purchasing the firearm and keeping it in your house, you don't really have to go through training to purchase that firearm, especially with rifles.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
Lawrence, thank you very much. So part of the note from the New York City cop says this person shows her walking around like she knew what she was doing. Someone introduced her to guns and tactics and taught her how. We don't know that that is true, but when you look at the video, it does appear that she had some sort of training.
Well, part of the reason why this is part of the story is you got to find out the motivation of the killer. You have to find out who knew ahead of time to stop the next one. Then you got to, part of this is securing schools. In the meantime, while we try to get your head around the emotional warpness of somebody who thinks this would be a good idea, how do you harden every single school? And I'm wondering, with all that COVID money that just seems to be sitting in accounts, can we all agree that every school, big or small, no matter how big the city or small the town, they need to harden the targets right away? That ballistic tape on every single window, it's not that cost prohibitive, especially if you have that extra funds. And can you get an armed guard on the outside, and maybe 2 in these schools? Is that possible to surge if you have a series of elementary schools in your town? Can you get surge capability in all these areas? And until the meantime, you got to be able to protect these students. And for the most part, the goal is to get the shooter while they're outside. And in the Uvalde, as well as the one in Florida, and this one, if someone had been on the outside armed, they would have been able to take these shooters out before they get on the inside, where the casualties are certain. And the reason why it's an issue is because you have the President of the United States right away wanting to take people's guns away when saying inaccurate things about this whole incident immediately when he's not commenting on ice cream.
Well, keep in mind, this was a private school, and so there's a little different than having the local police officers there. They've got to.
No, but it would be private security, just like private security works for public schools.
You're saying every school should have
Every
this?
school, they have the money. They have the COVID money. It's sitting there. Let's use it.